because doing a problem with this method is a little bit almost easy if you are able to do the normal problems. So I'm having a flywheel. Okay, so in the flywheel I'm going to consider this small shaded portion, and this is the top view or side view of the flywheel. The flywheel is going to have some thickness, correct? The flywheel will have some thickness. So that thickness portion I am going to draw here. This shaded portion, okay, this shaded portion is this portion in the diagram. Okay, so this circled portion is the top surface, and it is going to have some thickness. Now this thickness, it will have some cross sectional area A. All these things you keep in mind. There will come some problems where they will ask you to find out the dimensions of the flywheel. Another next method of problems. Okay, so the basics remain same. Turning moment diagram, all these things, all the delta E, everything is same. One extra data will be asked there. That's all. Okay, so if you go through all these things, volume of the small element equal to cross section area into length. Length is the length of arc. Okay, so cross sectional area is capital A. Length of the mean radius is estimated as shown below. Look at this diagram, the second diagram. So this portion is taken as a small sector of a circle, and then I am going to have the angle subtended as d theta or del theta. And in this, if you look at this triangle, it is approximated to be a triangle, right angle triangle. And then I am writing sin del theta. Sin del theta equal to opposite side AB divided by hypotenuse is radius. Okay, so therefore this length equal to radius into sin d theta. So for a very small angle, it becomes sin d theta equal to d theta. Therefore, it is r d theta. So this simple mathematical simplification. Okay. So therefore, what happens? Is r into d theta. Radius of the circle multiplied by the small. This is applicable only for very small angles. Therefore, your element of integration should be differential element should be very small. Only then this is correct approximation. Okay. So why you are finding this out? If you multiply area with this length, you will get volume of the element. Okay, what is the area? This red color striked out portion is having a area of capital A. What is how it is obtained? So width of the flywheel B into T. So here look how I have marked. I have marked T here, thickness of the flywheel. So this is your B, breadth of the flywheel. And this length you now you are approximated as r d theta. So if you multiply all these things, so thickness into breadth will give you cross section area multiplied by a length, will get an approximated cuboid volume. Correct? Length into breadth into height. So where length is T, breadth is B, and this height is r d theta. So now why I am finding out the volume of the, so the volume equal to cross section area into length A into r into d theta. Okay. So A is again breadth into thickness, right? Mass of the small element dm equal to, you know the volume, so you want to find the mass. What you do? Multiply density with that. Okay, density into volume. So rho into A into r into d theta. Just multiply rho. So here, I don't want to go much deep into this derivation. It is already there. Anyway, you can just have a look at this things because it consumes a lot of time. I cannot complete this level if I do that. So in this derivation, I'm going to write the formula for C in this differential element. What is the centrifugal force acting on this some particular point? Centrifugal force is m omega square r. General formula for centrifugal force is m omega square r. I know the value of mass for this differential element is dm omega square r. Okay, so in place of dm, I'm going to substitute this. Okay, so rho a r d theta omega square r is what it is. Some outward resultant force. Okay, of this outward resultant force, I'm going to find out the vertical component. Why I'm finding it out, I will tell you later. Just keep it in mind. Some outward resultant centrifugal force I'm getting because of rotation. Okay, if you have a mass rotating, you will definitely get centrifugal force. Now, out of this, I'm going to find the vertical component alone. I am not concerned about the horizontal component. Okay, so that will be the vertical component will be vertical component of that will be some sin theta, right? Sin theta equal to vertical component by df. Df sin theta is the vertical component of the centrifugal force. Okay, so now the important thing you have to remember here is such vertical components will be there from every cross section of the wheel acting upwards. Similarly, if you come down, that vector will be turn the direction. It will become negative. Okay, it will act in downward direction from 180 to 360. So therefore, effectively, in these two places, one cross section and another cross section, the summation of all these forces will try to what to say, remove this, break this flywheel into two pieces along these two cross sections. So now we are going to approximate the amount of this force, and this occurs only because of your vertical component of the forces. Horizontal component does not have any effect on the flywheel. It has effect on the shaft only, not on the flywheel. Okay, I think you are able to understand. So vertical component of centrifugal force, rho a r square omega square del theta sin theta. Right now, this is going. This is about integrated from 0 to pi. Why not 2 pi? Because this is one side of the circle. First, I am doing the upper half. Then I will multiply it by 2 to get the magnitude of the force. Okay, one half I am finding out, rho a square r square omega square 0 to pi sin theta, because I told you such upward directed forces, only one spot D, one differential element you have seen. Such multiple elements exist all along the flywheel dimension from the 0 degree to 180 degree. I'm going to add all these forces. So 0 to pi. So whichever is not a function of theta, put it outside. Integral 0 to pi sin theta. This sin theta comes from the vertical component sin theta. Now integrate it. So it goes around and you get an answer of rho a square. So it comes around 2 rho a r square omega square. Okay, that is the solution of that integration, right? So vertical upward force will produce a tensile stress or hoop stress. Hoop stress is the circumferential stress, tending to burst the rim across the diameter. Is resisted by two cross sections of the flywheel that I have shown you in the shaded diagram. Okay, hatched portion. See here. So I am cutting the flywheel into two halves diametrically. These two cross sections are resisting your hoop stress. Don't worry, you don't have to worry about all this. This formula is very simple. Just note on. In order for you to know, I am telling all these things. Otherwise, it is not required. Okay. So you should not do just read the formulas and do the problems. It's useless. You have to know what you are doing. So these two cross sections are resisting the bursting pressure, hoop stress. Okay. Let us call each force as P. Then you will get two P forces, one on the left and one on the right for each cross section. Correct? So load equal to 2 times of hoop stress into area, 2 into sigma into A. 2 into sigma into A equal to this equation you have already derived from the previous thing. Okay. So rho, if you solve this expression, you will get to sigma hoop stress equal to rho r square omega square, that is equal to rho into v square. Okay. So this is the final formula you have to remember. Two things you have to remember. One thing, velocity equal to, so why you are worrying about velocity? There is a particular speed above which you should not go for operating a flywheel. If you go beyond that, your centrifugal force will increase and your flywheel will undergo fracture because of, I think you will be doing an experiment called whirling velocity of a shaft in dynamics lab. You should be doing now if you are in college, but it is not there. The disturbance creator will make your flywheel fail because of the centrifugal force. Okay, so that critical velocity is square root of sigma by rho. That is one result. Okay, mass of the rim from the equation 2.4 and 2.5. What is 2.5? Cross section area equal to mass divided by pi d rho. These two things you remember. These two formulas you note down. Anyway, again the problem itself I will tell you once again wherever I am using the formula. This is one formula. It is the whole derivation I have arrived at. V equal to root of sigma by rho. The critical speed above which you should not operate a flywheel, otherwise it will fail. Another is cross-sectional area of the flywheel. The cross-sectional area we've seen right in the first diagram. It was a hatched, red color hatched portion. Okay, the flywheel was like this differential element. Now this cross-sectional area A equal to mass of the flywheel divided by pi into diameter of the flywheel into rho. That is one expression. Another expression. So don't worry about these. Just remember these two things. Just have a feel of what is happening here. It is not very important from exam point of view. For who are interested to read this PPT is shared to you. Okay. From equations 2.4 and 5, we may find that the mean radius and cross-section area of the rim. Right. So these things are, we are going to use these formulas in solving problem. 2 rho a r square omega square, where rho is the density, a is the cross-section area, r is the mean radius, and here omega, by mistake it has happened to be a capital omega. So this is omega. It's automatically changing to capital letter. Grammar check. Okay, this is omega. Okay. This what it is shown here is capital omega. Small omega, you are familiar with small omega. Okay. So peripheral velocity of the flywheel rim V equal to sigma by rho. Sigma is your hoop stress, rho is the material density. Okay. So it is taken from 16.11 section of your Purmi textbook.